Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have James Chung with us, and James is a retail commercial real estate agent, specialist in that field. And James, it's great to have you. I'd just love to hear how you came basically from Tallahassee to San Francisco and got into commercial real estate.
Oh, thank you for having me, Bruce. And yeah, that journey goes back now 50 years. I just passed the 50-yard line a few months ago. But yeah, born in Tallahassee, parents were immigrants from Korea coming over after the war, getting their education in the Southeast. But we made our way over to San Francisco in the late 70s and have been here ever since.
Went to UC Berkeley.
Yes, sir. I was lucky enough at the time. I don't think I would get in today, but was able to sneak in back in the early 90s and very much enjoyed my time there, and it taught me more things than I realized at the time. That is for sure.
And you got a degree in economics, but then you just and Spanish. That was one I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, strangely, Spanish came somewhat easy to me growing up, and in truth, it was the only language being taught in the local public school system.
Oh, okay.
And I ended up going through the Spanish program, through the AP program. In fact, I got to a level where I was beyond what they were offering, so they actually created an AP Spanish 6 class for me in my senior year, and I was the only student. Oh, and in hindsight, I don't even remember how that happened, but during that time, I even went down and lived with a family, during, I think I was 15 maybe or 14. And what the funny part about it all is that, I get to Cal and, I think I'm this hotshot in Spanish. And my first class I walk into and it's all native speakers.
Oh,
and
wow.
I slowly but surely found my way to the back corner of the room and kind of kept my head down and just ended up, writing papers and doing whatever else. But it really came in handy, believe it or not in real estate. But I spent, 35 years of my life surfing around the world. And I used to travel throughout, Mexico, Central America. And that is when it actually came in it was the most handy. It would getting me out of situations or just getting around town and being able to engage. And so when I go back now into whether I go to Spain or go to Mexico, it comes back, I would say about 20 to 30%, but enough for me to get by. And I think people are always surprised when I start speaking Spanish. And anywhere I go in Mexico, they always call me El Chino, even though I'm Korean. And I try to correct them and they're like, oh, Chino. I'm like, we're good. Everything's fine.
Chino, I assume, means Chinese. No,
I mean, I'm guessing, but yeah, I think anybody who looks like this is thrown into that bucket. So, and it's not derogatory. It's not a slur by any means.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. Well, I did not pick up anywhere on your LinkedIn profile that you're a surfer. So that is very interesting to me. How did you get into surfing?
Strangely, I was an avid baseball player growing up, and I ended up going to this all-star tournament down in Orange County, and I stayed with this family. And of course, I was there for like 2 weeks. And for some reason, not for some reason, but we actually had a lot of downtime between games or whatever, and all the kids in the neighborhood surfed. And so, believe it or not, we would go out to the main road, and from Turtle Rock in Irvine, we would hitchhike down to Newport Beach. This is like 1989-ish.
Yeah.
And
okay.
we would hitchhike back, and we do that every day. And of course, I'm fumbling around, not knowing what to do, but these guys were super helpful at getting me going. And then from that point forward, got bit and had no idea that it would be, a huge part of my life for another, 30 years.
Well, there have been several other surfers in this 200 odd podcast that I've done, and there have been many analogies to surfing and real estate. I don't know if you want to make any of those analogies yourself.
Oh gosh, I can give a million, but it's funny. One that really resonates with me is, having been in, small conditions, big conditions around the world, there's always this moment where you catch the wave, and there's this commitment and conviction you have to have, and any ounce of doubt is going to come out in some way, shape, or form. But as you're even getting to your feet and going down this potentially 10, 15-foot wave, going 100 miles an hour, and your nose is this far off the water, and you're not, it's not perfect. Maybe sometimes it is, but a lot of times it's not. You have to adjust and just have confidence. But if the minute you question yourself is the minute things go awry. And I would tell you though, and having those reps of having having that moment of commitment and full conviction, I had no idea how that would translate into the rest of my life. But as a result, I tend to make decisions pretty quickly. And I know I'll just figure it out. Whatever happens, I'll figure it out. And by the way, Bruce, they're not always the right decision. But and again, I would say more are right than they're wrong. However, that moment and that feeling, more importantly, is completely universal. And it's something where I feel like that is why even starting this company, it was like me dropping in on a wave. And I'm like, there's a lot of things not going right now, but I'm gonna figure it out.
Well, no, that's a very interesting analogy, because actually, as you surf more, as you do real estate more, your instincts, your balance, your muscle memory, if you want to call it that, becomes better and better. And so then in those moments of very tense, quick decision making, hopefully you make the right one. And sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But as experience holds, hopefully it gets better and better. So,
well, what's funny about that, Bruce, too, is that the minute you get overconfident is the minute the ocean humbles you. and trust me, real estate's the same way. We get humbled more than we don't. And so, but again, how to take those waves on the head, metaphorically speaking, and you just learn how to handle the adversity a little bit better.
Well, not to try and put you on the spot a little bit, but can you go back and maybe give us a little example in real estate of how that worked for you?
Oh, 100%. I mean, there's even recently, there was a larger transaction where I have a partner on it, and we had worked on it for, 2.5 years. And really, we were at a point where we're almost just waiting for the ink to dry. And we'd be done. And of course, same thing came up. The deal fell apart. Of course, everybody, including the ownership, were devastated. But for me, it was just another day, in this seat. And it has happened enough times where, because I'm always so focused on the process and the service, that the outcome to me usually will happen, right? More often than it won't. But when it doesn't happen, and if it's out of my control, I can sleep at night. It's when I've done something that made or didn't do something even worse that caused that result is when I cannot sleep at night.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very interesting lesson, that people getting into commercial real estate and probably even residential real estate early on, you're like grabbing on every little thing and trying to make it all work. And when a deal explodes on you, you think, oh, it's the end of the world. But as you catch a lot of real estate waves, so to speak, you realize, oh, okay, there's going to be another wave. Just got to go out, paddle out again, and catch it.
100%.
So, yeah, that is very interesting. Okay, so back to Berkeley, back to baseball, back to surfing. So, how you came out of Berkeley? How did you get into commercial real estate?
That's a great question. So, I was in the tech industry in the 90s and was working with a voice over IP company that required the world to be on broadband. And I don't know if you remember, but this is when we were in the dial-up mode. And so our product was a bit ahead of its time. We were the second fastest growing company behind Hotmail. I think I was the 13th employee. We grew to 700 globally.
Oh,
And I
wow.
was the 13th employee on the other side. And I had a friend in real estate, and truth, he was just getting going and getting his feet underneath him. And I actually saw more of the challenges than I did, the actual potential outcomes, but I saw what could be. And today he's very successful. And while I'm on the Titanic and he's doing this and the boat's sinking, and what I just could not grasp was having really zero control over this sinking ship. And nothing that I did personally would impact the outcome. Where I looked over at him and I said, I was so enamored by his ability to influence a deal, his ability to influence his own outcome, where in this world, when everything fell apart and the company went bankrupt, and I remember I was in tears. I didn't know what I was going to do. I didn't know, I was completely lost at sea. But then when I really started thinking about it, I was like, man, I see this happening over here. And of course, there's the rest of the world. But for whatever reason, this had this weird calling. And I had a very small window of time in my life to be able to actually take that kind of risk because my cost of living was so low. I was paying $400 in rent. I didn't own a car. I mean, it was, all these things. And anyway, fast forward, it obviously ended up being a good decision. But I feel very blessed and privileged to have found a business that, number one, I love. Number two, that is very congruent with just me as a person, and three, a job that, number one, I'll probably never retire. I don't know why I would. I'm in the same boat.
Yeah. Why retire?
Yeah.
I just mentioned the other day, if you call retirement having the choice every day of doing what you'd like to, then we're retired. I mean,
100%. And I'll tell you, that epiphany was the clearest during the pandemic. And it was, wow. I remember having time for once, and, whether I'm playing golf or going surfing or doing whatever, I was like, I don't want to do this all day. This isn't, I mean, it's fun.
Yeah, right.
But when you eat cotton candy every meal, I mean, you're going to get sick of cotton candy. Not that I eat cotton candy, but
no, I get the analogy for sure. Yeah.
And in fact, it only reminded me of the love that I have for, what we do. And I think most importantly, it really starts and ends with the community, and the community that we have within the commercial real estate world, and the way we make the world move. And I feel like, we have the unique opportunity to really influence, not on Instagram or TikTok, but like really influence the landscape, right? Where we live.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I really believe it is an honor to have that opportunity.
Well, so backing up for a second here, you went to work for Cushman & Wakefield first. Is that correct?
No, I did not. So I went to a company called Terranomics.
Oh, Terranomics. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Sure.
It was a boutique firm, and we actually M&A'd, I think, 4 or 5 times. And so I had, I don't know, 5 different business cards that look like I'm jumping ship every, 12 months. And I never left my desk. And, and finally we became, in its final form, Cushman & Wakefield. So which was at the time 70,000 people in 50 countries.
Yeah, right. Well, I just FYI, I had sort of the same thing happen to me. I started out with the Rubicon Group, which you may or may not know.
I do. Yeah.
Yeah. The Rubicon Group merged with TRI, and then TRI closed their Mid-Peninsula office. And so I went with Cushman & Wakefield, and they closed their Mid-Peninsula office. So I ended up going out on my own, which you also did. When did that happen?
So the lights were turned on March of 2021.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Right. But I started laying the bricks and the foundation basically March of 2020.
Yeah. And so are you exclusively focused on retail?
Yes. So our company, we're hyper focused on retail. So, and that, the boundaries around that aren't loose. But by the way, like when we have 3 offices, and when I opened the offices, I hired Cushman & Wakefield to represent me. So, and in truth, it's because, yes, I could have done it, but I also know that I don't know what I don't know. And I'd rather have an expert to represent me. And for that reason, we've always just decided to be experts and be the best and try to be the best, that is, at one thing. And everything else is, it's adjacent. But, retail actually has a lot of different meanings and definitions, but for the most part, it could be land, it could be adjacent uses like medical and other things that are coming in now, but it is 99.9% retail.
So how far afield are you going with your work?
Excuse me?
Is it strictly Bay Area, or are you all over the place?
That's a great question. So our agency work, right now, we're probably in the 45 million foot range of exclusive agency work, and that is Northern California. So 9 Bay Area counties, Central Valley, Sacramento. Our occupier work, and we, again, represent over 200 plus national regional tenants, from Lifetime to Exporting Goods to grocery stores to T&T Market out of Canada to restaurants. And we do that locally and nationally.
So I'm curious, how are you marketing yourself to those particular clients?
It's funny. The marketing side is really interesting in our business. And, when you're a kid, you never understand that it's a relationship business. But I will tell you that I would say 80% is word of mouth and referrals. Yeah. And, there are times where we catch wind of requirements and we go pitch and, go through that path. But I would tell you the most sophisticated companies in the world that we work with and have worked with, can't name names, but you know who they are. They're right in the top 5 in the world. Even the way they found us was by way of, the irony being, a lot of times the tenants and occupiers will go to the major landlords in the community, right, in the Bay, and ask, hey, who should represent us? Give us 3 names. And our goal is just to be at the dinner table. There's never an expectation to be awarded anything without earning it. But we would love to be considered. And so a lot of it comes that way. But you'd be surprised too. I mean, even by way of referral, because of our connectivity nationally, we have, connection points from New York City to DC, Miami, Chicago, Dallas, Seattle, San Diego. And when you have a trusted advisor, they often ask you, who should we work with in this market? And we've been blessed to have that opportunity to get a lot of business that way as well. And by the way, our clients ask us the same thing for other markets, and we are doing the exact same exercise, outbound. But again, a lot of it is, there's the old way of doing it, the point and shoot, seeing something, pulling, the owner and going after it. But I would say, as you get deeper and deeper into the business, you just, people find that they want to work with you. But again, there's never an expectation being awarded anything without the opportunity to earn it.
Well, and you don't get referrals unless you do good work. I mean, that's the key factor. So that's always you can have all this great work, but if you kind of flub it up along the way, those referrals aren't going to come along quite so easily. So obviously you must be doing good work.
Trying, Bruce.
That's all we can ask for. Nothing's ever perfect, but you can keep chipping away at it. So, okay. So I'm just curious, when you refer out a client to Florida or some other place, when you find a broker down there, do you ask for a referral fee?
It depends. And I know that's a very gray answer. It just depends. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. It's really bespoke to the requirement. And oftentimes, for example, I will shepherd tenants into other markets and communities. Other times I'll just pass it off. And, it depends on who's receiving it. It depends on how real the requirement is. It depends on, there's so many different nuances to to referring business. But my goal personally, anytime that I do refer it, is that they do a better job than I could have. And that's how they could really pay me properly.
Yeah. You want
by their service. And yes, because I'm trusting them with a client. And that's why when I receive referrals, truthfully, sometimes I take them almost more seriously, because I want to make sure I protect, right, the integrity of the person who referred it and the trust that they bestowed in me.
So I'm curious, how much time are you spending with ICSC?
Well, we have a conference next week in Palm Springs, but my time with ICSC is a bit behind me. I used to run Northern California. I was the state director. I used to do this big pageantry like retail runway. I used to do it in Vegas and LA and San Diego and Monterey. And so I was a huge ICSC guy for, gosh, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And it was time to pass the torch. And it was a great opportunity to get to know a lot of people I would have never met. And really, really was, again, just honored to have had the opportunity to do it.
Yeah, no, it's a great organization and a very, good organization to be involved in, but I could see where you can spend your life at it if you let it kind of take over.
And some do. And then for me, your priority shift, and I'm still very involved. I still go to a bunch of shows a year, whether it's New York, Las Vegas, Palm Springs next week, Monterey in the spring. So, we're big supporters.
So I'm curious, are you having a booth there, or are you just kind of working the room, so to speak?
No, we have a booth. Yeah, we'll have a booth there.
Yeah, and so you kind of work both sides of the equation.
Yeah, I think because especially for, the team, they really need a home at these conferences to host meetings. And it's really important just to give them that real estate.
Yeah. So so you're kind of working the room and going back and forth and kind of coming through the whole situation, but really it comes down to kind of how much business do you actually sort of think you get out of ICSC?
It's funny. We asked that question a lot, and not in a bad way, but yeah, I would tell you most of the business that is generated at ICSC isn't what you think it is. Yeah. It's not this sit at a table. Hi, I'm James. This is what I do. It's at the dinner, and you're sitting next to someone you don't know, and you meet, you get to know each other. Maybe there's something that comes out of it, maybe not. But I can tell you that the exhaust from ICSC is about the community and the touch points and the people time. I mean, it's something that unfortunately, while this is great and this is a great format for something like this, it couldn't replace you and I sitting down for a cup of coffee for an hour and having this same conversation, because so much is spoken that is unspoken. And just seeing people live and in person is just the experience comparatively to a phone call or Zoom meeting is not even close. So I because of those moments, though, it creates an intimacy with people where when you pick up the phone, it's not a stranger on the other line. It's someone you know and you met and you get their vibe and you're good. Or the opposite, you're like, man, I want to stay away from that person. And I'm going to go ahead and send that to voicemail, and I'll get back to that later. But yeah.
Well, yeah, that does happen. There's no doubt about it. So just out of curiosity, what's your feeling about the current market and the market in the future? I mean, obviously right now, for those that are listening and don't know, retail is very hot right now. Maybe not quite as hot in the bigger box world, but in the smaller world, it's certainly a lot of things going on. At least correct me if I'm wrong.
You're not wrong. There is a little twist to what you said, though. Right now, the national vacancy actually went up, I don't know, 50 basis points, I think, in the last months, year. But that's not a reflection of us sliding the wrong direction. If anything, the Bay Area market, depending on where you are, we could be anywhere from 2 to 6%. The malls have been hovering around 8 to 9% nationally, but would tell you that despite all that, there is so much activity and movement happening that is not seen or visible or even misunderstood. There was a project we did here in West San Jose where a certain publication wrote about how Costco was saving this, failing shopping center because there was a whole row of empty boxes in the back of the center. And by the way, this is a center I've listed for 20 years.
Oh, wow.
And the irony is what they didn't understand is that all the boxes at the time were all co-expiring in 2024.
Oh, wow.
We signed Costco in 2021 knowing this and took the back 10 acres and assembled it and just waited patiently until 2024. And the deal announcement didn't even happen until late 24. And because, the newspaper didn't understand what was happening behind the curtain, they assumed, which was a fair assumption, but it could not have been more the opposite. And we were so intentional with what we were planning and doing that I giggled when I read it. But I think that's where sometimes when you read the news, it doesn't necessarily reflect what's happening. And so, you had mentioned you're based in kind of the Mid-Peninsula San Mateo market. I think we have, 3, 4, 5 grocery anchored shopping centers in that submarket. Honestly, many of which are 100% leased. Yeah. But what people don't also realize there is that we are monitoring lease expirations. We're planning for 1, 2, 3, 5, 10 years out and evolving the merchandising mix. We're constantly and strategically working with our ownership groups in how to position the asset, right, for the future. So oftentimes we're acting knowing that something's going to, because our deals take, anywhere from, call it 3 months to a year to negotiate. Sometimes I can give you horror stories where they've gone 8 years.
Oh yeah.
But the point is, and then plans and permits and construction. So it could really take, a year to 2 years just to get a storefront open. So a lot of times we are doing things way in advance. So it does feel like, Bruce, that we often do have a crystal ball, and it's fun to be able to curate a community and to be able to kind of tell people what's going to happen. And sometimes their minds are blown. And they're like, wait, what? I don't even get it. I was like, well, you don't need to, but just know that it is. And and it's so satisfying to see when the lights turn on and you have this thing that's alive, right? It's like a living organism. You've created jobs. You've created a whole new supply chain. You have now this community where people can come and experience whatever it is, this particular retailer is offering. But it does play such a role in, their respective communities that it's just, it's awesome to see the finished product when you know how it started. And it oftentimes starts with an idea, waking up in the middle of the night, be like, oh my gosh, I have an idea, right? And then
put this person over here. We should do this. Yeah. Right.
And then also overlaying really the trends in the market, right? Knowing retailers coming, for example, from Canada. And we happen to represent like TNT Market. They're a Loblaw company coming to the US and being able to help them also develop a US strategy and the why. And then watching them, turn on the lights and, see the impact that they have.
Wow. So you've got 3 offices right now. Where are they?
Walnut Creek, Stockton, and Campbell.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So how much work do you do in downtown San Francisco? Can you talk that market at all?
Absolutely. In fact, I have a big tour with a very large scale retailer this coming Thursday and Friday in Union Square. I think San Francisco, couple of things. I think San Francisco, yes, had a very dark moment in time. What people don't realize though are that the neighborhoods, whether it's the Mission or Hayes Valley, the Marina, Cow Hollow, have all really stayed pretty healthy despite the noise happening in downtown.
Yeah, right.
And so the black cloud over San Francisco, unfortunately, was spread over the 7x7, right? When in truth, it really should have been more like a 10 square block radius.
Yeah, Market Street or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. And while yes, Union Square does today, I mean, it's hovering in the, call it, I don't know, 21 to 24% vacancy rate. The new regime, the new government in place in San Francisco has completely changed the dynamics of how the city engages with retailers. And by way of example, we just signed TNT Market at Geary and Masonic, and in those markets you have to get a formula retail CUP. If you have 11 or more units anywhere in the world, you have to get a conditional use permit.
Wow!
I've done it where number one, couldn't get it, so then the deal never happened. That's the one being the one contingency. Or two, it would take anywhere from 6 months to 3 years.
Oh God!
So guess what? Guess how long it took us to get our permit?
Oh, I'm sure Lurie said 2 months. Oh wow!
It was record timing. And if you drive through San Francisco, it's clean, it feels safe. Yes, when you walk Union Square, you see people, you're not seeing as many shopping bags, but in truth, there's not as many retailers. But it's already on its way back. And the trough and the trough of the valley is definitely behind us in many ways. My first office was there on 126 Post. And it's a market that will always be really an iconic, city, meaning like icon cities being New York, LA, San Francisco, Chicago, Seattle, right? It's always going to be in that category, despite how small it is. I mean, there's less than 800,000 people that live there.
Right.
More people work there than live there. But no matter what, it will always be globally recognized. And, it's really exciting to see the momentum that is now reshaping its comeback. And it's fun to be a small part of that.
Okay, so now we're looking at the crystal ball a little bit here. So are you thinking things are going to slow down a little bit, or what's your thought out there? Are things still rah-rah?
Well, as we talked about earlier with the surfing analogy, you always think you're going to make the wave, no matter what. I mean, if you don't, then you're already done for. But in truth, though, in all seriousness, there is nothing telling us otherwise right now. Interest rates are obviously, slowly but surely trickling down. The demand still exceeds the supply. There's very little new construction happening in the core 9 Bay Area counties. I mean, I think in total, there's probably maybe 500,000 to 700,000 feet under construction for new retail, which is nothing.
Right. Yeah.
And so that's only going to put more pressure on existing product and existing inventory. And yes, of course, there's always going to be soft spots, right, within the industry about, certain submarkets and things. But in truth, there is nothing telling us that anything should be different or going in the wrong direction in the near term. In the long term, who knows? There could be a global pandemic. I mean, who knows, right? But as far as the next 12, 18 months go, even 24 months, we're incredibly bullish. We have tons to work on and to service, and we couldn't be more excited.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's. Where can people get a hold of you? Because I think a lot of people listening may need your services.
Yes, you can see my email there below. If you go to our website, theeconiccompany.com, it has all of our contact information. And, one thing we do pride ourselves on is response time, because I'll tell you, Bruce, when I got in the industry, I couldn't get anybody to call me back, email me back, or do anything. And I promised myself if I ever made $1 in this business, we would always return every call, and we still stand by that. So, please feel free to reach out.
Well, I love your name. It's Iconic, sort of, but Econic, right?
And that actually, believe it or not, was a result of hiring a naming company and going through this very
Oh, wow.
interesting exercise. And Bruce, it started with a 300 question survey, but the questions I was asked really were so from outer space, but then it all made sense at the end. And it was interesting. It was actually a really fun journey, but ultimately, I was really excited about the result.
That is a great name. I love it. Well, we're going to have to talk again soon, I'm sure, because I think there's a lot of stuff happening, and downtown San Francisco's edging back, all those things. So we're going to have to keep in touch here.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.